All right. Welcome to Getting to Know UBC in this new normal that we are existing in. Our second guest ever via video chat is Miss Sherri Thompson. Hello, Sherri.
Hi, Justin.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great here all by myself in my social isolation.
There you go. Good for you. Good for you. Uh, the first question, and we'll see where it goes from here. One of my favorite quotes, because I think it hits on some really important things, is by a guy named Frederick Buechner, who says that God's will for your life is where your great gladness and the world's deep sadness meet. The idea that God gives us joy and passion for something in order, at least in part, to meet the needs of others or a general need. So, how have you seen that, your joy and the need of the world at different parts of your life? How have you seen that ring true? How have you seen those two things come together?
I would say, for the greater portion of my life as a music teacher, music is a real healer.
Mm.
And I was able for many years to bring that to kids. And they later, as grown-ups, were able to come back and say to me, that was a really safe spot for me. It was a time of day that I loved doing that. It helped me through hard times, things that I didn't know were going on. So it was a time for me to be able to, just pour what I loved out and have, you never know what that's falling upon, where those seeds are planted, and then you reap a lot of the reward later on when you hear those stories as they grow up. Now I'm at Community Renewal, kind of in a different kind of position
Sure.
to help people who are in need. Some days that just walking off the street into my office and just having knowing what the resources are and helping point them in the right direction, that's really rewarding for me. And of course, everybody has experienced that on both ends of the spectrum. I remember really dark parts of my life when people have poured into me. When my mother was very ill, and I was working with a youth group at UBC at the time, and came home after working all day and going to the hospital in Oklahoma City to a clean house because those youth girls had gone in and activities, cleaned my house, and we, we all pour each other.
That's great. And you talked in there about music, and your dad was a music teacher too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was a band director,
Okay.
quite legendary in the southeastern part of the world and in the Band Directors Hall of Fame.
Ah,
Was the president of the Oklahoma Bandmasters Association. But yes, he was quite a character.
okay. So I'm always interested in the question of, especially when someone has kind of followed in their parents' footsteps in some ways, um, what you, as you were teaching music all those years, what you saw of your dad in what you did, and maybe what was unique to you in how you did it.
Well, I said I will never be a teacher. That's
Mm.
what I said when I was growing up. I will never be a teacher. And then there it was. And I did not graduate as a music teacher. But music was always a factor in my life. It was not an option for me to not take piano lessons starting at the age of 5. And now I'm super thrilled about that. It was the same with my family, and my children would give you different answers about how they liked or did not like that.
Right.
But yeah, my dad was very highly competitive and successful. So while I never went at it, and we were in 2 different venues, he was high school and band competitions and all of that sort of thing.
Sure.
But he created lifelong music lovers. And that I hope is something that came out of my teaching. I always wanted to teach the basics, but really present something that was worth listening to. I wanted to present good choirs and good musicians, and so in those respects, I think he and I are very much alike.
Mm.
We took it really seriously.
Yeah. Along the same lines of doing a similar thing, but adjusting as life brings us differences and stuff. You've been connected with UBC for over 35 years. Is that fair?
Yes, I came to OBU in 1979, and that is when I believe that I joined UBC my freshman year at OBU.
Okay, so almost 40 years.
Yeah,
But who's counting?
1979. Yeah.
Uh,
You don't have to put that out there, Justin.
yeah, we can talk about what year I was born and all of those things too, if you'd like. But UBC was one thing for you then. You talked about how the connection with the youth department, being a helper with them, and those relationships, and how there was kind of co-caring going on, you caring for them and them having an opportunity to care for you.
Absolutely.
So in that time of the connection with UBC, as your roles at church have changed, as your life and needs and the needs of others has changed, what has remained constant about UBC, and how has it had to change in order to meet your needs and the needs of others that you're serving with?
The quality of the relationships have always remained extremely strong.
Mm.
It is like family for me, and to have worshiped with some of the folks in church for 40 years, you just develop a love and a knowledge and a depth of relationship. And for me, that's what it's always been about. That's what has remained the most constant. There are many, many changes.
How would you help or address someone who walks in, whenever we get to walk into church again, but someone who walks in from day one, how would you translate those 40 years of connections to them or for them at UBC? How does UBC become a home for them, and what do you see your role in that?
I think my best advice about that would be to find a group of people to become connected, or become a small group on Sunday night to develop relationship with. Sometime it's people come, and if they don't get immediately out of a church what they want, they move on to see if another church can give them what they think they need. I find that the people who really stay and invest and get to know the people of the church don't really want to leave. So there are people here that are willing to go beyond the surface, help meet your need, and find those groups wherever it may be, whether it's working in the nursery or serving in the youth department, or in the college department. Those are where I found my people, in the college department. And we were a very tight group, and I still consider those people my family.
There you go. There is a great value, I think, in hanging in there, whether that be as a parent or as a spouse or as a church member, as you said. How do you hang in? The difference in ups and downs of life, and obviously, I said somewhat jokingly, but very serious, the new normal that we find ourselves in isolation and making those kind of adjustments. What does it mean for Sherri Thompson to hang in there, and how does that happen?
I am a really persistent person.
Okay.
And I think it requires a sense of long-term commitment. I always have valued that loyalty and long-term commitment. And someone once said during one of the hard times at church, I would rather, it would be like a divorce to me to have to be separated from my church family.
Wow.
And I've always really, that's stuck in my head, that, sometimes, if a situation becomes toxic, I get it that people have to leave, but I have not seen very much that I didn't think we can work through this.
Yeah. I think that's so good for life, even beyond a church connection, for just life in general, to get through things. All right. Sherri, thank you so much. Thanks for giving your time. And I know you've got lots of other duties, and I think I understand you need to call your daughter and help her hang in there as well. So thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right. You bet, Justin. Stay safe.
All right.